Welcome to another special edition of Litter Media Live. For nearly 10 years now, we have learned that my attitude determines everything. And we have Dave Huggins with us from the Drug-Free Clubs of America and the M.A.D.E clubs here in Ross County.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me.
Did I get that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes when you say it, it's like, it sounds so official. And it is official.
But I'm not. I actually changed my job description recently.
Oh.
Because I used to have this fancy thing that said Program Development Specialist.
Uh-huh.
And I just changed it to DFCA Guru.
There you go.
That's how I get referred to most of the time.
Guru makes it sound like you need a white beard and maybe a white robe sitting up on a mountain somewhere.
Oh, no. Guru makes me think I'm just like in it and do it. And if you need something, I'll help you.
Yeah, and he is the guy that can answer all questions, which we're going to get into in just a moment. But first, we want you to hear these words from our friends at Pickaway-Ross CTC Adult Education.
Find a career you love with Pickaway-Ross Adult Education. Skilled trades careers are in high demand with no signs of slowing down. Pickaway-Ross offers career training programs with expert instructors and hands-on learning tactics to create a variety of opportunities. Visit our website for more information.
We always enjoy having Dave in for discussions. We've done this, since 2015 or 16 or thereabouts, starting with radio and now here.
Yeah. I still remember those first radio days. I missed that. It was kind of fun down there in the studio bunker, whatever.
Yeah. Now we're in the loft, so here we are. Yep. But the reason we're having Dave in this week is because it's M.A.D.E rally time.
It's M.A.D.E rally week. It's like I always think that this is like payday for everyone, where you get to see all these kids march down the street and show their enthusiasm for living a drug-free lifestyle. It's pretty amazing.
We have seen fantastic outcomes from this program. If you can save one kid, it's worth it all. But you've saved a number of kids. And technically, the kids have saved themselves because of their determination in the program.
I like that. It really is them. The whole premise of the program is designed around them having leadership roles. So each school has a group of ambassadors. Those kids are the ones recruiting their peers to join the club. Those kids are the ones talking to their school coordinator about what type of in-school incentives they'd like to have. Some of them have even solicited businesses to get community rewards for them. When it comes to the rally on Friday, they're the ones who are doing all the presenting and all the talking. And other than just having an MC to kind of organize the event, we really try to keep the adults out of their space and their opportunity to shine.
Yeah, but adults are still involved because they're the ones who make sure things don't get out of hand.
We have a list of rules. I was actually going through a folder that I have for DFCA rally, and I came across this rules word file. I'm like, rules? What rule? And then I reread it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I got to tell all the school coordinators and all the schools to help us keep everything wrangled that day. And it's nothing more than speaking into the microphone, make sure the kids stay with us and they're not shopping downtown or going to Hometown Hibachi to eat or just some basic housekeeping things.
Yeah. But you have a lot of adults who help the structure of the parade route and everything as well. You've got the police involved. You've got the Harley groups involved. It's really neat how the adults have wanted to be a part of this too.
Now that this will be our 8th rally. We missed 2020 COVID year. Mm-hmm. And Jan Detty plays a huge role in this. Sandy Murray, it was her, she's a retired police officer. It was her idea to have a rally in the first place. Myself and Chris Scott and Emily Schmidt, Kim Graves out at Pickaway-Ross, Greg Manson, who works for us at the Buck 50, and even William Presson will be there with us on Friday to help us maneuver some things around. But we have to have less meetings now because we have found that we've got a good formula. It works. And really, we even talked to the kids. I met with some kids from Medina, Huntington, and Zane Trace back in August, maybe September. I think it was August, though. And I just kind of said, hey, rally's coming up. It's not too far away. Is there anything you would like to do different or like to see different? And they were just like, No, we love it. It works. That's why we're in the club. So
Almost runs itself.
it almost runs itself. We have the Ross County Sheriff's Department gets down there about 6:00 Friday morning. They start cooking hot dogs, and Jan Deddy has a crew from McDonald's that comes in, and they're, wrapping up hot dogs, and we get chips from Hersh's potato chips and Hersh's apples. We have those for the kids, and contact Marty Kokenauer for some water for the kids. And it's a great production, and it's a great coming together of our community to support these kids.
Just like any other pep rally that they have at school. It's cool when they all get together. You do that with them at the Donald M. Smith Memorial Swimming Pool there in Chillicothe's Yuctangi Park, and then everybody marches all the way up to the courthouse. And I think that's where some of the real magic happens, because you have presentations by each one of the schools, and some give their personal testimonies about how drugs have changed their family members, which has also changed their outlook. And what we've seen in the transformation through the program, through the drug testing and the accountability, what it's done to help them be stronger individuals.
We had a kid, I don't know if it was last year, it might have been the year before. But those kids get up there and they tell those stories. And what happens during that moment is there's other kids in that crowd who unfortunately have some of those same family experiences happening, and they start to feel okay. Like, I'm not the only one that has this situation.
I'm not alone.
The other thing that happens during that moment is for those kids that are fortunate enough to not have drugs in their family house, they start to understand what the problem is in our society. And they start to see their friends with a little more empathy than what they had before, because now they understand why things are the way they are, or what maybe they're going through. So there's a lot of hugs and tears that go on. But like I said, a year or two ago, there was a girl who spoke, and when she got done speaking, she went backstage and she hugged another girl from another school and thanked her for telling her story the year before, because it gave her the courage to tell her story that day.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know. We've had so many amazing things that happen, but it's just like you said, if we can just save one kid's life, if we can just help one kid, and we have those things, and like a tray of dominoes right now, and so many great stories and things that are happening, but it's still very rewarding. And if you ever really wanted to understand what the Drug-Free Clubs of America program is, if you ever wanted to know why the $1.50 exists, come down to the Ross County Courthouse at 10:00 a.m. this coming Friday, and you'll see why all this effort goes into these kids all year long.
You put a lot of effort into the $1.50, and that's normally in spring. And I know we had the 1 year in July, but it's much easier for them to run in the spring. Much more comfortable, I guess, is the way of putting it. But the monies raised from that help do what we're going to see this Friday and things throughout the whole year, right?
Yep. We are the main fundraising machine for those kids, and we now support 15 different high schools in Ross, Pike, Jackson, and Benton counties. At the rally this Friday, we won't have all 15 of those schools, because some of those schools are actually attending other drug-free clubs rallies that have spawned off, like in Gallipolis last week that I went to. But like McLean will be there, that's kind of a neat tie-in of bringing some people from another county. Circleville and Westfall will be at our rally on Friday. We'll have our local Ross County schools, and then we have Western from Pike County will be there. Piketon is just getting their new Drug-Free Clubs of America chapter ramped up, so they're bringing their ambassadors up to see what all the excitement is about. It's really just a day to come together, and really being able to do this with so many different counties, it's really a beautiful thing to see. And it really just shows that you can work together. You can do things together.
And what I've seen in mingling amongst the crowd with a video camera over the years is seeing kids from two different schools that might be meeting each other on the gridiron that night, but they're getting along beforehand, and that's what this is all about.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The great thing about our program is it doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter how athletic you are. It doesn't matter what kind of means your family has. The only thing that we want is for you to not do drugs. And so it's a voluntary effort that allows us to bring so many different walks of life together. It really creates a nice synergy within the school because they get to do so many fun things together, whether it's get out of school this Friday and come to the rally, or maybe they have a cornhole tournament, or they play dodgeball at the school, or they have coffee and donuts one morning, or they get out a few minutes early because they're in drug-free clubs. It really creates a positive synergy for doing good things.
I have yet to hear one parent say anything bad about this as well. I mean, they're all on board with it. And it's almost as if, thank you for making my child be accountable for these potential disastrous decisions that they might make. And whenever you can spare that's huge as a parent.
Without question. I mean, I think if you've been a parent or even a teacher, you understand the challenge of what it is to try to instruct young people. Yeah. And it's kind of like, well, I could tell my kids what to do and they won't hear it. But if you say it, well, all of a sudden it might become gospel and like, well, Dan Ramey told me. Well, that's the same thing I told you, but
I don't have such influence.
It doesn't sometimes have that same thought process. Like, here's a good example. We survey the kids and we ask them, do your parents talk to you about drugs? Okay. And then we survey the parents, and the parents will answer that same question. Do you talk to your students about drugs? And as you can imagine, those numbers are kind of far apart. And it's not that parents haven't had that discussion. It's just, it's kind of in one ear, out the other for kids.
Right.
But that's why we try to we do push this peer-driven system where the students are ambassadors and they're leading each other, because if the students say, hey, we should do this and we should do this together, that's going to be a lot more well received than if it's adults talking to their kids about what they ought to do.
One that stays with me, probably 15, 20 years ago, was the public service announcement in which the father barges into the son's bedroom and he's there smoking weed. And he says, where did you learn how to do that? And he says, I learned it by watching you, Dad. And that is like smack in your face right there. But if we can get rid of that wall, so to speak, and have open conversation and see that you can have a fun life without drugs, it makes a world of difference.
Well, communication is pretty much the key to about 90% of what we do in the world, one way or the other. And so we know that statistically, if parents are talking to their kids about drug use, there's a 50% less likelihood that they'll even try drugs. And that's no drug testing. That's no positive rewards being a part of that statistic. It's just a fact. So we try to give parents reasons to talk to their kids throughout the school year, whether it would be that initial test day, when they get their ID cards at the school, when they get selected for random test day. There is, an essay contest or a scholarship contest in the spring in many cases. So there's another reason to talk to their students or kids about drugs. So that ongoing conversation really does help, make it normal. Like, drugs don't have to be something that we avoid. Yeah. Drugs can be something that we talk about. And I think the fact that we do it in such a positive fashion and we do it in a way of not shaming anyone who struggles with this, I really feel like it's opened up some doors for those even in the recovery world where they know that there is some empathy and some understanding of how this problem happens, and there are resources out there that you can get on the other side of this.
Yeah. This is all preventative help, and it can lead down to true grassroots help for folks who perhaps they had drug issues before the M.A.D.E program came along, and hopefully we're able to reach out and help those people.
Yeah, we got a story from a kid that wrote an article how he and his sister both joined DFCA, and their father had struggled with a pill addiction for many years that he developed through a back injury. And the father felt like that because my kids are really wanting to live a drug-free lifestyle and they want to join this club, the father went out and sought treatment. And it was kind of like it was his way of supporting the kid's decision. But I mean, that's just a beautiful story in itself that, you know, these kids can avoid that. The father goes out and seeks some help or treatment. And we even see the kids that are experienced with this where they have it in the household. They've maybe seen their parents participate in this or family members. Many times those are the first kids that sign up and want to join because they've seen the ill effects of it and they don't want to be a part of that. And this is a great out for them to do something in a positive fashion. It's a nice resume builder to be able to tell your employer or your college of choice that this was a program that I was involved in. And it really starts to set them apart from a lot of other kids that they're making good choices.
And as an employer, you're looking at that resume and you're thinking, okay, I know I'm not going to have some of these issues that I've had with other folks.
It's a big challenge for these business owners these days to find people that they can employ who can pass a drug test.
Right. Yeah. And I know even we get drug tested here, working with Litter Media. So I always enjoy seeing the email pop up that says, hey, you're the lucky number has popped up today. So you got to go out and do the drug test.
It's definitely part of being an adult. So might as well get used to it as a kid and then reap the benefits like being out of school this Friday.
Yeah, being out of school, getting hot dogs and roaming the streets in a structural way.
Only you got to keep it between the buildings there on Paint Street, kids.
Yes, that's right.
City pool, down Paint Street, back to the city pool.
Mm-hmm. You'll see this guy if you're there, you'll see him on a golf cart going around to and fro just to make sure everybody's still where they're supposed to be. But it's really... It is something to watch this rally come together. I remember being on vacation during the first rally, and I was watching it vicariously online. And to be able to see all this come together, my jaw dropped. I was so proud of you guys and what you had done, what you had built. And to now see it all come together the way it is. And even one of our own, Aaron Glandon, sitting over here, he was in the Drug-Free Clubs of America program back when it started at Adena High School. So they're already out into society now, Dave.
I run into them. It's like I forget how long we've been doing this. I was at a local bank and I was talking about, who's your employer? I work for Drug-Free Clubs of America. Oh, I was in that program. And you're kind of like, well, I guess you could, you probably were. So, Year 9, we're doing awesome. We've had some huge enrollments this year. We'll have about 1,500 kids at the rally, but in our Buck 50 branch of schools, we have about 2,000 kids who have signed up to be drug-free this year, including the Wellston Rockets. They're brand new.
Ah, nice.
They have 105 members. I just got word of that on Friday. I was really excited. That's a huge start. So it does feel good to be able to help as many people as we can, and that's what we'll continue to do. As long as we can recruit teams for the Buck 50 and recruit some sponsors to help us, we'll keep pushing the envelope to reach as far as we can.
If someone wants to participate in helping you with the Buck 50 financially, how can they help?
It's pretty simple. Just email me at dave@thebuck50.com. We have a complete package of options for you. We can get creative a little bit if you have an idea that we haven't thought of yet. But it's really good to know that all of our dollars are going in one direction. This is the only cause we support. In 8 years of the Buck 50, we've contributed $885,000 to these kids. As we sit here today in year 9, we have over 15,000 members, including this batch of 2,000 this year, which is probably more like 15,500. because last year we were at 13.5, and like I said, we've got 2,000 this year to add to that mix. So those are some big numbers.
Yes. And you got a milestone coming up here. You hit $1 million. We want to know about it.
It'll probably be this year by the time we get done paying the bill. I would say so. Yep. But that'll be great. That's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like the challenge.
Yes. Dave, thank you for coming in and what you and your folks have done to help our community. And as you can tell, it's not just Chillicothe. It is spreading out to different counties as well and making truly a difference.
Well, thank you, Dan, for everything you have helped us with, and especially Litter Media for letting us come on the show today and spread the good word.
Absolutely. We're all about good.
All good.
Thank you also to the Pickaway-Ross Career and Technology Adult Education for being our sponsor on this particular program for today. Another special edition of Litter Media Live.